After the death of crypto comes the rebirth, the enlightenment stage where the masses start to believe again. We saw Ethereum break past significant resistance levels on the ETH BTC chart, also on the ETH USD chart yesterday. Bitcoin, however, has seen a slight rejection here again at 72,000 after the abnormal day. I've got strong altcoins and also look at the traditional markets as they continue their charge into new all-time highs, continuing the everything bubble. The last stage of the 18.6 year cycle, the winner's curse phase, where everyone, man, dog, woman, becomes an expert trader in stock markets, in crypto, and of course, real estate. You've joined us here on your home of macro cycle analysis. Thanks again for your support on the channel. Smash up the likes. We're going for 4,000 today. Appreciate all of your feedback in the comment section. There's also a sale on TIA Premium. More on that in just a moment. Let's kick it off with the economic data from around the globe. We're looking at the breadth signal here. This has cycled through yet again. Another signal has shown up here. This signal has come out of many low points in the market going back through to 2008, and you can see it caught the bottom of the GFC. It also caught the bottom in 2011. It caught the bottom of the correction in 2015, so a very significant correction. There was another correction in 2018. Didn't catch that little low, but it did get onto the COVID bottom low as well. So that was back in 2020. And then it was a little early in 2022, getting the low for June. So June 2022, and then history shows we got that bottom of that cycle in October 2022. But if you were able to hold on through that period, well, obviously the rest is history. Pretty significant gains from that point. There was also another signal just recently in late 2023 after the October 2023 low. And of course, it's been up since that point. So if we have a look at just these few data points going back to 2008, the returns over 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months are basically 90% or greater. Now, to correct myself, the possibility of returns are pretty great. The returns themselves are down in this table here. Across the 1 year, you're looking at roughly around 15 to 50% across each of these signals. So not a bad signal overall, especially when you're looking at the breadth and the skepticism of the market. Essentially, we've seen the stock markets rally higher, but investors are still skeptical that this is going to continue on. You probably all know someone yourself, or maybe you're watching it and you're skeptical yourself after seeing the market climb through 2022, 2023, now into 2024. Thinking that we need to get a correction because things are overbought. Remember, markets can go on a lot longer. These bull markets can go on a lot longer than many think they should. Let's have a look at what's happened with the stock market before we get into cryptocurrencies and those major signals of parabola moves into cryptocurrencies. We're seeing another new all-time high daily close for the S&P 500 E-mini futures, and just a couple of ticks away from a new all-time high price in the after hours movement of today. So yesterday, new all-time high daily close throughout history. This stuff, once this gets going, you typically see it go on for longer than the masses think. And towards the end, more of the masses come on board and they believe that they are the smart ones for picking the market towards the end. This typically happens every single cycle. If you go back and read history, you see it happen again and again and again towards the peaks of the market, no matter which market we're in, stock markets or in real estate, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, it happens towards the peaks every single time. Does it mean it's over now? From what I can see, based on my own analysis, I don't think so. I still think there is more time left in this cycle. S&P 500, new all-time high daily close. NASDAQ, new all-time high daily price. So the new all-time high price throughout history happened yesterday, and it's actually happened again in the last couple of hours. And yesterday it had the new all-time high daily close. The Dow Jones getting very close to a new all-time high price again. Looks like it's putting in a higher low, slightly lagging on the tech stocks and the top 500 in the S&P, and the bottom 2,000 stocks in the US lagging again. They are the laggards for a reason. Typically, I personally wouldn't be getting into the laggards. I want to get into the strong cryptocurrencies, the strong stocks, the strong assets that are showing signs of strength with higher prices as opposed to lagging the overall market. The UK also hanging around at new all-time highs. the German market near enough to new all-time highs again, and France, more major economies around the world. This is above all-time highs. The white line was where the previous all-time high was, and China still going on its 4-month rampage to higher prices. Note how we don't hear about China so much in the markets, in the news anymore, as it's been up for nearly 4 months straight. So overall, things are still looking pretty rosy out there in terms of asset prices increasing and the cycle continuing on, getting us into a winner's curse phase of the market. Bitcoin, day before, Monday, it had a very strong day, 8% up, 71,500. Things were looking pretty hot. Note the volume was slightly lower, and that yesterday, so Tuesday's bar, we did go a little high here, almost touching 72,000, but again, rejected at 72 like we were back in March and in April. When I say we, I'm talking about us, the market participants in BTC. And so this was something that I talked about in yesterday's video, where you get abnormal bars towards ends of moves. They could be short-term moves or longer-term moves, and the market does not like abnormal moves. It typically wants to try and refill that price action and then start to mount another attack. Now, in this case, we've got one day has reversed, and it started to fill in some of that price action, kind of like gaps, not exactly, but kind of like how gaps are treated in the market. You'll see a gap in the price bars, and then the market likes to come back and fill in that space there. But in this case, if it doesn't fill in this gap here, it could be showing further signs of strength, that it's just buying more time until it's able to push higher yet again, potentially take out that new all-time high. So I'm not calling this a bearish signal whatsoever. It has been rejected short term. There were some shorts to be taken, but looking at the overall picture here, it's still above 69,000, which was our white number, well, it's white level here, well and truly above 67 for now, and still above the 50% level at 65. So now these resistance levels have begun to flip into support. Again, still looking pretty all right for the overall market here for BTC. You start to see a breakdown of 65. That's when I'd be questioning this move, if it was in fact a genuine move or if it was another fake out over here. So 65 to the downside would be the major level that I'd be looking for. But first, the level would be these tops here, roughly around 67 to 67.5 would be the first warning signs. For now, things seem pretty damn rosy. 60 into our 69th day below the previous all-time high. And that, again, confirms the 3-day down signal that we first alerted viewers about back in March, where you get that signal, and that typically suggests that the market is going to remain underneath that top for much longer than the masses could hope for. And again, that's what that signal told us. So that's a look at BTC. Now, in terms of the longer term, I'm looking at a possible pattern here, should we see a breakout for BTC. So in terms of a couple of patterns here that we've seen before for Bitcoin going into 2016, 2017, into a new high, or in the case of Bitcoin now, into a new all-time high. Just looking at pattern one here, you can see we had a big move up, a big pause, correction, consolidation, higher lows form. I am on a weekly chart here. And then you get very close to the new all-time high. You can see that right there where the arrow is pointing. Small correction, and then a bit more time before it can break out into some significant moves. You can see the bars get greater than what they were leading into that top. So that's one idea. You get that correction and the consolidation underneath the old all-time high. You can get it above the top. I'm saying all-time high or significant top. And in this case, this was a very significant top in June 2016 after a pretty long consolidation, big move to the upside, and then correction. Take it off log, you can see it there. Now, that's one idea. A consolidation below the all-time high or consolidation above the old all-time high or significant high. Now, pattern two, we're looking at where you had the significant high here, just short of the all-time high. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, all-time high, new all-time, significant high. We're looking at around how the market responds to highs. So you've got the high in correction. It starts to build up again, pushes through the top. So if we got through 74,000 and started to consolidate, or so Bitcoin breaks through that top at 74K, gets rejected. Again, this is on a weekly chart, And that's about 3 weeks of market action around those tops, right? With some corrections underneath that top. The main thing to look out for here is your higher swing low using the Gann swing indicator. So that's your higher swing low, even though it came back under those prices, like we saw right now in with BTC. The old all-time high was 69,000. So around here, it went above, came back under, above, under, consolidated, and looks like it wants to attempt breaking out again, breaking out of the previous old all-time high in 2021. So you got that move there, a little bit of consolidation, and then the parabolic move continues from that point. In 2017, we had a pretty decent run there from April into December for the peak. So about an 8-month move after it finally got going from January of 2017. So it ran up into that top, consolidated, and then got going into that peak. So where does that leave us for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as we lead into this parabolic stage? Some confirmation signals here. I'm still going back to this tipping point. If we're still on the rise around the globe, I think there is a good possibility that cryptocurrencies also get through these tipping points. Let's look back at the previous cycle. That's the 50% level through the bear market range. The tipping point came after it broke out of the monthly swing tops and then the 50% level of that range. So you can see there was about 190, 200-ish billion with a total cryptocurrency market cap, excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins. So from that tipping point, we had a pretty solid run up into the new all-time high. And then we had another solid run to blitz that new all-time high, very, very significant correction, and then that final leg up into that final top. But you had huge moves happen, gains through that period, very significant correction. And that was kind of like the late retail coming into the space, making whatever gains if they did, and more than likely giving it all back because they'd watched everything happen for the last couple of years or heard about it, not getting into the market, and they finally get in the last stages, maybe in this stage, maybe in the final stage itself, and maybe even in the complacency bounces that happened throughout 2022 and then held on for the ride all the way down. Don't feel bad if you're in that. It happens to pretty much everyone in their first cycle. You basically come in late, you hold on too long, and you hope for the best. And then when the bottoms are in, you're just too burnt out to even remain in the market or remain with it to see the bottoms through and then watch the next leg run up. So in terms of where we are right now, we've had the 4 weeks down. We're at about 6 weeks from that low, but from the top, we are at 10 weeks. So from this top to where we currently are, we're at 10 weeks underneath that top. So I'm watching out for some period in June or July to give us a breakout here. We're a week out from June now. So possibly we get the breakout of the 50% coming soon, a breakout of these tops a few weeks later. And just according to the previous fractal, not that I'm wedded to this whatsoever, we have a look at that. Roughly around sort of July or August, potentially see some sort of new all-time high. So it's sort of late summer, if the Northern Hemisphere, into a new all-time high for cryptocurrencies. Of course, continue to follow the chart. Don't take that as gospel that that's the date that it'll happen. I'm still just watching this because it seems to be working out relatively well for now. The time frames seem to be working out relatively well for now. And should we get a break above that 50%, the monthly swing tops, well, then it's very similar to what happened last time where you get a breakout of the monthly swing tops and the tipping point. That will then send the market into overdrive and the parabolic mania continues on from that point. The disclaimer to that, though, is we need to see more blood come into the system when we get to those prices. The blood comes in when there's something exciting that goes on. And the tipping point is the exciting point. You can see it there. Basically, it goes huge moves on a chart. And I want to see more of that blood come in. For now, it doesn't really feel like there's a whole lot of new blood in the system. It feels like it's all the same blood from here, the same blood from there. And the blood just keeps cycling around and around, moving from one altcoin to the next altcoin to the next altcoin. And, same thing, rinse and repeat over and over again. And on that note, we'll have a look at some altcoins. But before I get there, just want to have a quick shout out to our TIA premium members. As I said, we've got a sale coming up very soon. Subscribe to the free crypto and economic report. Link is in the top of the video description. We'll let you know when that sale is ready to go. But several of these traders, even new guys coming in, new members here, are crushing it. And they're really enjoying what they're learning in TIA Premium. And they're understanding a lot of the analogies that I'm using here on the channel. So if you find yourself maybe a little bit lost, you want to learn how to implement this for yourself with your own portfolio, your long-term investments, maybe your shorter-term trading, I highly suggest taking a look at it, having a read of some of the reviews here from other members so you can get a feel for what it's about and what they're learning and how they're implementing it for themselves to make the best of a pretty decent situation. So congratulations to you guys who are also killing the game here, getting your wins, getting your profits. Well done. All right, let's move on, have a look at ETH and some of the others. Ethereum has pumped up, of course, 3,800 points, $3,800 was hit and now very close to a new all-time high. Yesterday, I looked at this as a very, very abnormal bar and said that, well, like I did with Bitcoin, you saw a correction. However, for ETH, you've seen even higher volume today, smaller bar, so less, possibly less buying pressure than yesterday because you'd have to get the selling come in to make that volume very, very high. This is one of the highest volumes, if not the highest volume in history. You can see we have to go, no, it's not the highest in history, but it is pretty much the highest for this bull market, barring the low in 2022 and the banking crisis. So extreme volume in the last couple of days. To get that without the price bar looking similar to the day before means you'd have to have some selling in that bar. Nonetheless, it's still above 3,400 points, so the $3,400, so above the 50% level. It's broken through these tops. Now we have to wait and see if we get another daily close, which would show a fair bit of strength to this entire move. That has also helped out the ETH BTC pairing, and that was the disclaimer from yesterday's video. If we saw that break out of the 50% levels, and it did it on both and closed above both, which is a pretty good early sign, then we were going to see significant moves on ETH USD. However, the urgent warning from yesterday's video was looking at the altcoins within the ETH ecosystem, and to pick one that I had looked at that didn't make it, you can see something like Optimism. It's basically been rejected at the 50% level and closed lower. So it initially had that hype and then has been rejected from that point. You can see it on the Optimism BTC chart. You can see it on the Optimism USD chart. It still has not taken out those previous tops and at the moment has closed underneath that 50% level again. So you can see the urgent message when it comes to market spikes and market movements like we saw with Ethereum yesterday. The news was centered around Ethereum. Some of those ecosystem projects did not get the same follow through. Matic was a classic example, just didn't do anything, continued down from that point, which is also part of the ETH ecosystem. So the news itself is looking good for Ethereum. It's done the first thing, got above 0.053, but that is going to be the key level right there above the market at 0.06. You can see that was where it broke down from. It tested it again and again and then failed. So 0.06 is really going to be that confirmation level for ETH BTC to get back into that strong point. Then we can assess other targets to the upside. But for now, it could just be another pump and fade from that point. Now onto Solana BTC. And it looks like we've seen a fake out bar from Monday. So after the ETH ETF hype, you got the lower close here and then the following day reversed. So it's still trying to decide whether now is the time that it wants to push higher or if there's still more consolidation required before the move can commence. Did get to the confirmation level and basically closed under it. You can see just how much it has played with that level over the last several days. The key here is to get multiple closes above this 50%, so 0.0026, and that would then, at least from my own analysis, would confirm a stronger move here to the upside. But nonetheless, higher lows all the way. Maybe it just needs a bit more time to consolidate. You guys also asked a lot about Render. Here's Render. Looks like it was basing on 50%. Yesterday, nice good move up and good strong close above that 50%. Multiple days required. What I'd look for next is the 50% of this small correction move, and that takes us to 0.001661. So somewhere around the level above that. Call it 1700 here. I think it's about 17,000 Satoshis. So that's what I'm looking for the strength on render to continue from this point. Overall, it's looking pretty good. It had the correction back down to the 50%, found some support for now, and also above the resistance levels here, that basically where it broke out of, and has come back to test that zone. So continue to look at that. Volume's starting to drop off a little bit. So that's a little concerning, but provided it stays up here, looking not too bad for render. Pepe, it has repeated a 100% move from this low here. And I'm using that low because on the weekly chart, it's a significant low, and that's what you want to look for. That's the low before the big breakout of February. So huge pump, correction, and then again, it went on another pump. So this entire move has now been repeated from that low. So 100%. Should this continue, looking towards somewhere around that 1.5, so 150% of that move takes us out to about 1890. That's a huge number there, a huge gain for Pepe from these particular lows. So keep an eye on that, and I'm also keeping an eye on, well, the invalidation, because at the end of the day, no one knows what happens on this black side. Anything down to roughly about 900, I think is relatively safe for now, for any sort of correction here, and to consolidate for the next move up, because, well, I mean, that has just gone on, and eventually it needs to rest. But for now, it's one of the stronger ones. Meme coins seem to be continuing their strength across the market. Links in the top of the video description for TIA Premium sale is coming up. Don't miss out on that. Join us. Smash up the likes, 4,000, and I hope you guys can also be making your own massive gains here for altcoins now and into the future as well. I'll see you guys back here at the next video. More on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, an update on that tipping point here where we start to get into the parabolic stage of the market. Make sure you're on board with the stronger cryptocurrencies when this occurs. You don't want to be holding the bags of the laggards when this market really does take off. You might only be enjoying a one-day pump.
Here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Everybody drunk out on the dance floor.
Till next time, take care and peace out.